This is Black Silk, and welcome back to my channel. And it's been a while since I posted anything, and it's been for a really good reason. So this is my vlog about my pregnancy journey, and then the last vlog I did was talking about the news, and it was talking about the first trimester. So I'm actually going to cover the second trimester, third trimester, and postpartum in this video. So it's going to be, I'm assuming, fairly long, but I also have a story time in this as well, which was more of a serious situation, or it could have been more serious than what it was, and this was during my pregnancy. So I have some opinions about certain things during my pregnancy, but yeah, you'll find out. So I didn't make separate videos about this because I didn't have a lot to talk about per trimester, but I have more to talk about as a whole and postpartum than I did just like individually with each trimester. So I didn't really see a point in making separate videos. So if you're interested in knowing what happened during that time and where I went and what I was up to, basically, then continue watching this video. I'm trying out a new background. This is my bed. Curtains. I think it looks pretty cool though, actually. So anyway, we're going to talk about the second trimester. Alright, I have a list. I'm going to go through that because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything, which is really easy over the past few months. Alright, so the second trimester was October through December. I didn't show my ultrasound photos in my last video, and I'm definitely going to do it this time. This was my healthiest trimester. I was working out. I was fairly active on Gothic fitness and just doing postpartum workouts for pregnancy and things like that. I'm going to try to show them in order. I got quite a bit of them. This is when he was like really, really tiny. A little, I called him my little tiny peanut. But you could barely see him like in the uterus here. There's another one in the back here. He's way at the bottom. You can barely see him. He was really tiny then. He grew so fast. And then we got one where he's a little bit bigger. I don't like this glare. You can see like him right there. Oh, God, he's so tiny. It's nice going down memory lane. He's getting a little bit bigger around this time. This is when I found out that he was a boy. Oh, little penis right there. Around that time, he was bigger. You can see like the head, skull forming like very well. Some of these are a little too blurry, but I'm just gonna go ahead and show this anyway. He moved a lot. As he got bigger, it was harder for them to take a photo of him. He's currently in bed right now, so I'm not trying to talk too loud. And in this video I saw, this ultrasound, he was kicking around a lot. You can see his little legs kicking up right there. And so another one was just kind of blurry. I have one in a picture frame on my wall, which I will be replacing because I did like a newborn photo shoot. And they're freaking adorable, but I talk about that later, and I have those pictures at the end of the video. Okay, so this is him when he was bigger, and we're just measuring his body. Is this the right way? Yeah, right way. Pretty much just that, like measuring his heartbeat. I'm trying to find one that distinctly shows his head. This is the closest one I got. His head right there. But yeah, definitely a healthy pregnancy. I was worried about that because obviously I have been pregnant for a while. I have not been pregnant for a while, and my health has definitely affected my health. But like I said, this is my healthiest pregnancy. That's all I'm going to show for the ultrasound because that's all I have really. Because after the beginning of the second trimester, I think this is the beginning of the second trimester, they stopped doing like the photo ultrasounds because they just don't need to do it anymore. So I didn't know what he looked like until I had birth and saw him. In this trimester, I started doing cardio for pregnancy safe cardio and yoga, which I believe I do mention in Gothic fitness. I started knowing him growing. He's going through a growth spurt. My belly was starting to grow a little bit more. Not fully out, but just a little bit more. And I noticed the kicking for the first time. It started as flutters, and then, over time it gets stronger. But his was pretty strong flutters, so I knew that was him. I was starting to prepare for him more around this trimester. I know this is more like an old wives' tale type of thing, but like they say don't buy anything until like the last trimester or the second trimester at least. But I actually bought him his first pair of socks, which he's going to be wearing in his newborn photo shoot that you'll see at the end of this video. And I remember buying it and being excited about him wearing that for the first time. And yeah, he has it on in the hospital pictures, which I'm also going to show here. This is where the whole maternity photo shoot was planned. As a second trimester, I had a very specific idea. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but yeah. I wanted to wait a little bit longer until like I got into my third trimester where I'm bigger. I was going to do it in my second trimester, but like I was like, I think third trimester would be better. So yeah, maternity photos were planned around that time. So other than this being like pretty much the best as far as health wise for my pregnancy, that's pretty much all I have for the second trimester. To be honest, that's why I didn't make a whole video about this one in particular. So third trimester was January through March. He was due April 2nd, but he decided to come in March. So my health completely changed again. I know I mentioned in the first trimester I had a lot of nausea and strong cravings, but this one I wasn't really that hungry in this one. But I found out that was normal because baby's taking up more space, so you don't have a lot of space for that. Fatigue was a big thing for me in this one. I was always freaking tired, no matter what I did, which is normal because I'm carrying this child in my body, so it's taking more energy to walk around. I did like energy work for myself. That's more like a spiritual topic, but like Reiki for pregnancy, that was something that was planned around that time for like, for mental health as well. Reiki's good for mental health as well as spiritual. I started cramping more around this trimester, which happened more towards the end of the pregnancy, which was in March. That's when it really started hitting me. Like his head and whatever, I think his arms were moving or hitting a nerve. So it wasn't like every day, it was every other day. I had more appointments around this trimester, the third trimester. I had to go every week at a certain point, which I think was more midway. Didn't like that very much. But yeah, I had to do a bunch of tests, like glucose tests. They asked me about like birth control and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I haven't really quite decided what I'm going to do for that yet. I will note that I did use birth control before this pregnancy happened, and it failed. I keep trying not to talk about this, but yeah, it's much needed now. I'll talk about that later on in this video. I'm not going to go into detail about my sex life, but yeah, anyway, moving on. Before I get into the story time, which happens in the third trimester, I want to talk about the registry I made, and I might lose followers for this. I might lose followers anyway, just for having a video like this, but hey, I'm a goth mom. I'm not ashamed of that. I've been a goth mom for a while. I made a registry. I made it for Walmart, and I made a registry for Amazon because those were the cheapest ones that I could think of that people most likely would buy something from. And I couldn't think of any goth website that sold like stuff like that, so that sold like baby stuff. I'm sure they're out there, but I don't know if they have registries or anything like that. I'm going to be honest about this, and I'm really disappointed by this. This isn't for the people who didn't know about this, because I didn't advertise this a lot, but it was linked on my link tree, and it was at the very top. And this isn't for the people who could not afford to do it, who wanted to help, or you just couldn't afford to do it, or people who just didn't know about it, because some people didn't know about it. So those of you who fit into those categories, this is not for you. This has nothing to do with you. I'm not upset at you or anything like that. If you still want to give me something through my registry, definitely go for it. If that's something you want to do. And I'm not going to say that no one gave me or donated or gifted me anything, because they did, but it just wasn't any of my followers. And this is where I have a big problem with this. So no one's required to give me anything, especially if they're not able to do it. But if you call yourself a supporter of mine and you were able to do it and you saw the registry and you didn't gift anything, because some of those things are really cheap on there, I'm going to say I'm really disappointed in those people who fit that category. As for everyone else, no, I'm not disappointed. But, like, that's why I don't post things like that on my page, like GoFundMe or anything like that. Because I see people post GoFundMe for, like, ridiculous crap all the time and get thousands of dollars for that shit. And it pisses me off because me and people who are like me in my situation, they don't get shit from anybody. Now, there's people who gift me things from my wish list, my normal wish list on Amazon, and I totally appreciate you people who've gifted me things in the past. I mean, at least you've tried to do something, or tried to support me. But everyone else who just, like, would laugh it off or not even try to gift anything, or just would be pissed off just even thinking about gifting me anything at any point. Not even for, like, I'm not even asking for, like, things on non-special occasions, like my birthday, would be awesome. Or if I had, like, a situation where I need help or I could use a donation or something like that, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not, like, saying, hey, subscribe to my OnlyFans or my Patreon because you owe me your money. I enjoy the support when I get the support. And when I had Patreons, I thanked them every time that they donated to me, And I have no problem publicly thanking people on my social media, which has thousands of followers across different social medias. So you would think with thousands of followers that more people would have donated, but they really didn't. And people like my photos, and I appreciate that support. Like, some support would have been helpful, and I'm not saying everyone was required to do it because they can't do it. But I'm really disappointed that a lot of people who did see it and just decided not to do it for whatever negative reason, not for a good reason, a negative reason, that I'm really disappointed in those people, and I feel like they could have at least donated something. And none of the people actually donate anything. And then there were people who said they would send me something from the registry or do a registry on a different website. And those people, I'm not going to mention their name, they never did it. And that actually was fucking annoying to me. Like, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm excited about this. You're going to do this for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then they never fucking do it. And I'm 2 weeks postpartum, and these people haven't said a damn thing. So, there's still a chance to still donate to me. I'm going to publicly thank you guys for your support. If you want to be thanked publicly, because you want to be anonymous, that's fine as well. But yeah, I just I don't get it. I don't get why people don't support, like, people they follow like that. I don't know why they think that I don't deserve that. I saw someone that I followed, like, not too long ago, and I'm not saying he didn't deserve this, or they're no longer he, they're trans, so they were asking for help with rent money, and they got thousands of dollars immediately. And if I were to do something like that, and I don't have as many followers as they do, but they're not, like, so far ahead with their followers. They get, like, a ridiculous ton of money, but they have people support them, and I'm just like, why don't people do that for me, So I'm petty about that shit, so I don't think I really expressed my feelings about that before. If you got this far in my video, you know now, but if you've already clicked out of my video, you won't know how I really feel about this anyway. But I think it's really petty, and really, I get really petty about it, and I think people are just petty too. So really, that kind of stuff, the lack of support in that way, just discourages me from actually really asking for stuff like that or posting. And I thought about doing OnlyFans more than once. I am not against sex workers. So my mention of OnlyFans is not like in a rude way, because I do support sex workers. Pretty sure I said that before in the past. I bet if I had an OnlyFans, no one would subscribe to it. Or maybe they would subscribe, I don't fucking know. But I am so grateful for those people who supported me during that time. And obviously, the dad's going to support his child as well, but I don't know if people think I'm rich or something, but baby shit is expensive. People put registries out for a reason. But yeah, enough of the registry shit, because I'm just gonna I'll leave it there. But if you want to add stuff to the registry, everything that I talk about with the link is down below in my link tree. I think that's what people are waiting for me to do, is do OnlyFans, but that's not gonna happen postpartum body. So, but I do like sexy photos. But yeah, I'm not saying this out of the question, but you know, another topic for a different video. All right, so let me talk about the story time, and this is the last part for the third trimester. And I was by myself when this happened. My child's father was not there, present during this time. He didn't have a reason to be. I was just going to an appointment. I was very visibly pregnant, and I went into this building, and I mean, you literally couldn't hide my belly. It was sticking out, like really sticking out. And this was maybe a few weeks before I went into labor. Maybe not even that many weeks, but yeah, it was crowded in the area, and I try not to go out too much because of people like this. People are weird, and I know I mentioned this in my last pregnancy vlog with my last child. Someone had like pushed a cart towards me when I was with my ex-partner, and someone was laughing when the cart almost hit me, and my ex-fiance had just caught it because wasn't paying attention. But I became very aware, and it was very near my house. So I'm like, why would I worry about that right near my house? So that would have actually hit me and hurt my baby at that time. And this person, man, I don't know what their deal was, but just like, you know, when someone's energy's fucking off like that, like, given, like, I don't know what their vibe was, but it wasn't pleasant. It was very uncomfortable for me. So this place was crowded with people, and I was waiting in the lobby. Not the lobby, the office. I went from the lobby to the office, and I just casually glanced around to see how many people were in the room, because I'm just like, okay, where am I going to sit with my pregnant ass? And then I saw like this old white guy looking at me, just staring, like I'm like, okay. So I turn away from this guy because he's staring at me. No one else is looking at me like this. He's staring at me hard. Straight face, no smile, didn't say nothing to me. I'm just like, okay, you're fucking weird. Turn away this way, look at my phone. So after I turn away from him, he decides to get up, go across the room in the direction that I'm facing, and sits there and stares at me there. I'm just like, okay, major creep vibes. So this guy either thinks he knows me or see me somewhere, or I don't know what his intentions are, but they don't seem good. Like, he wanted to hurt me, or I mean hurt me, like physically assault me or sexually assault me. I don't know what was going on in this dude's mind, but it just felt really fucking uncomfortable. And I'm like, do I need to go alert one of the nurses? Do I need to go alert one of the staff to make sure that I'm exiting the building okay and not call the police? Because this is the vibe I was getting from this guy. If he actually followed me out of that building, I would have turned my ass right back around and got him arrested there, then and there. That's the vibe I was getting from him. And I was extremely uncomfortable, and I'm glad I got to leave early that day from that place, because I was just like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. I walked out that building, and I did check behind me, and I'm just like making sure that guy wasn't following me, and I never saw him again. But that alone made me just want to stay indoors after that. Like, I was mostly like being a homebody anyway, because when I'm more visible, I have to be I don't want to be out in public very much, and I can go into labor at any time, and I don't want to have that awkward situation happen to me. And I decided to just not go out for a while after that. So where I live, everything's convenient. I can just go order the things and it just comes straight to me. Yeah, that's my story time there. Alright, so this part of the video, I'm going to talk about how life has been postpartum. And I'm also going to talk about birth. My birth experience was a pretty quick one, which I figured that was going to happen. But when it happened, I was just like, oh no. So as I mentioned in like previous talks about my trimesters when I was pregnant, I was fairly busy, so I was doing as much as I could to make sure that I was prepared for the baby and just make sure I didn't have a bunch of stuff to do after I had the baby. So my body decided, hey, we're going to go into labor today. So when I went to the hospital, I was feeling contractions. Like maybe a week before that, I had like these really severe cramps. Like he was really heavy on my pelvis and I had like severe cramps, and then I told my doctor and she was like, oh yeah, that's just Braxton Hicks contractions. And I'm just like, well, those are pretty intense for Braxton Hicks contractions. I really actually thought I was going into true labor, but that actually felt like I was about to have them that day, a week before I actually went into labor. And I remember what Braxton Hicks contractions felt like, and they were pretty consistent. So I thought it was kind of weird. It was weird Braxton Hicks contractions, or false labor as people call them. I really actually thought it was labor because it actually felt like it. So that passed and I had no spotting or anything like that. And so I was just like, okay, so it was a false alarm. So when I finally got to actual labor, the day of, I was in my bedroom. I was watching a show, just a normal day. I was about to go do something that day. Like, I don't know what it was. Probably something for social media. I don't really remember. And when I finally got, like, all of a sudden, okay, if you're watching this, you're going to know that if you don't like hearing about stuff like this, you shouldn't be watching stuff like this. But I'm just going to be pretty graphic with this kind of stuff. So, because it's my experience. I had spotting that day for the first time. I did not have spotting any other time. But for that day, I went into labor, I had spotting, and it was blood. Like a bloody show, mucus plug from the uterus. And that's the first sign that you're starting to dilate. That was the first time I ever started to dilate. I never had anything else prior to that, like at all. And it was the first day that it started to dilate. It was when I went into labor, which is interesting because from my other experiences, I was starting to dilate already like days before my labor, but this happened all in one day. And I'm just like, okay, maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe I'm just having Braxton Hicks contractions again, and they were actually feeling the same as like a week ago prior to that, and they were actually not going away, and they were intensifying. And at that point, I was like, oh crap, I need to go to the hospital. I was still able, I actually drove myself. And when I told people that I did that, they were like, why didn't somebody drive you there? No one was available at that time because we weren't expecting him to come that day. I had like 2 more weeks left, so he was born like a couple of weeks early. And my kids were on spring break, and I was hoping that he would come there, but he came like right at the beginning of spring break. I'm just like, oh, that's really convenient. He's not happening during spring break, he's happening at the beginning of spring break. So, yeah, so they started to increase, and they were starting to get really painful. And I'm stubborn. I'm a Taurus, so I'm stubborn. So I was just like, maybe it's just Braxton Hicks contractions, like I said, and I can just lay down and they'll go away, like they did last week, and they didn't go away. So that's when I drove myself, which I kind of got lectured about, and I understand that, but I wasn't going to wait until, like, they were getting so bad I can't drive anywhere, because if it got to that point, I obviously wouldn't have drove the car. I would have gone with the paramedics, but I was able to drive myself, so I did, to the hospital. I know people have different opinions about that like, someone should have taken you, like my OB did, and the nurses were just kind of like, you drove yourself? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm independent in that way, but like if I really need help, I have no problem asking for help, obviously. I got there and the OB checked me after I got checked in. I had to go through the whole process of getting checked in. I went to labor and delivery. OB that was on call at that time, she checked to see how dilated I was, and I wasn't very dilated. And there, she was just like, I should send you home. I mean, you're not that dilated. We can't keep you here. And I'm just like, ma'am, I'm having this baby today. Because I got to a point, like, the pain was increasing pretty quickly over the hours. And I got to a point where I was just like, okay, I can't lay in this bed anymore because it's hurting so much, so I'm going to walk around. And it took them a while to give me pain medicine for that stuff too. So I had like my own pain medicine, which wasn't ibuprofen. It was Tylenol, and that was not working at all. I'm just like, my Tylenol's not working. I need something stronger. So they started giving me pain medicine, and I was walking back and forth for a while, and I'm just like, this baby's coming today. She came back. The OB came back, by the way. And she was like, how are you? How's your pain threshold? And I'm just like, my pain threshold is pretty much, I'm going to have this baby today. She's like, well, we could keep you for a couple more hours and see, how dilated you are and all that, which I hate when they check your cervix. I hate it. I hate the way it feels. Like, I'd rather have labor than have them check my cervix because it's really uncomfortable for me. So, yeah, I was trying not to eat because, you eat stuff, you can end up pooping during labor, and I don't like that idea. It sounds kind of gross. But yeah, you can't control it because it feels like you're taking a massive poop anyway when you push the baby out. So, but except it's going through your vag. So I just didn't want to do that when I was going into labor, or giving birth rather. So yeah, I was walking around and eventually got so bad I couldn't walk anymore. I'm just like, okay, this baby's coming. And then they checked me around that time, and they're just like, yeah, you're dilated enough. I'm like, yeah, I said I'm not going home. If they sent me home, I would not have left that hospital. I would have just sat around that hospital. I'm just like, I'm not going home. I am not driving back in this pain. No one's going to take me home. I'm not going back with the paramedics or nobody. I'm staying here until I have this baby. So I stayed there and tried to relax. I got like pain meds. I wasn't going to do epidural, but this isn't my first pregnancy, and I had a pregnancy without an epidural, and he was much bigger than this little guy right here. I don't know how I did it. I'm just gonna be honest right now. I mean, he must have. I think that labor was really fast because I really don't know how I did it. That's what I'm gonna say right there. I was gonna try to do it this time, but I was just like, nah. They actually asked me because I was in so much pain. They were like, you sure you don't want an epidural? And I'm just like, you know what? I think I might have one. So, pain meds and epidural does help. The last time I did it, my other son, where I did a vlog about him, they messed it up and it made me not want to have another one again. It wasn't the same hospital, it was a different hospital in a different state, and they did not do a good job. I had like severe back pain. And I remember talking about that. If I didn't talk about it, I'm talking about it now. I remember talking about that, or thinking about talking about it if I didn't talk about it. I no longer have those videos up, so they're not deleted, they're just not up, they're not public. So yeah, they messed it up and I had back pain for a while and it was excruciating and I didn't have a lot of support back then. I'm just going to say it right now. So yeah, I got it this time. It was not as bad. Labor just pretty much went smoothly, actually. Very minor tear. It was actually really quick, and when he came out, I remember what his head felt like. I'm like, oh my god, it's been so long since I pushed on a child. Uh, um, and I definitely remember what that felt like. That's the only thing I really remember as far as pain, is that pressure, because even with epidural, you're still going to feel that. Even with pain meds, you're still going to feel that. So when I had him, I was really happy. I know I mentioned in my first vlog about this whole pregnancy, I was going through some things and I had like some really big decisions to make, and I feel like I made the right decisions and I was happy. And I saw him, of course, his little face, he's adorable. He's sleeping right now. I was feeding him. I know you saw me feeding him a bottle, but I do both bottle and breastfeed I know some people prefer strictly to do certain things like breastfeed and bottle, but it helps with bonding time for not just me, but with his dad as well. I cannot wholly speak for his dad experience, but he did tell me how he felt holding him for the first time, so I was going to share that. He knows I'm making this video, so yeah. So I'm trying to go in order and not be all over the place, but let's see. All right, so I held him for the first time. I was actually impressed. I don't know why. I'm like, I carried this little guy for 9 months. I was not expecting this pregnancy at all. Wasn't planned. I actually thought I was done having babies. So I'm starting over. I'm starting over basically again. I mostly remember how to do this. It's kind of like, I guess, riding a bike. You just never really forget. But I just starting over again is just like, wow. You know, a lot of time has passed with my older kids, and it's precious time, and it goes by so fast. Like, I'm trying to appreciate every moment that I have with him like this, because that time flies by. Like, my youngest, who's no longer the youngest, he grew up on me. He's still a kid, but he grew up on me pretty quickly. He's not a baby anymore. He's a big brother. So, yeah. He definitely could not wait to see his brother. He's very energetic, very strong kicker. He was outside my womb as well. Something I didn't do in my previous pregnancies, but I don't know why, because I just didn't know I had the option for these things. But I did more research this pregnancy. I think I did a bit more research each one. I did skin to skin contact, and I did it for much longer than I have with my previous pregnancies. And I'm not saying I didn't do that after I left the hospital, but for the first time I did that in the hospital for much longer than before. And that was a very special moment. That's just with me having him after birth. His dad bonded with him like later on, held him, and like this is his dad's first child is him. And I feel like he immediately, me personally, my observation, I feel like he immediately was just like in love with him, like connected with him. He didn't have to say anything. I just saw it. He observed. I'm not sure, like, he's probably gonna watch this, but like me observing him from when we first found out I was pregnant, and I remember talking about that, like the fear and just like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? You know, this is my first child. Versus now, after like 2 weeks, it's just like such a big change. And when he first saw him, it's just like he was so freaking happy. Like, I can't even describe it. Like, he was really happy, just immediate love for his child, like it's supposed to be. I'm not gonna compare this to like previous pregnancies, but like I see it. I can visibly see it. I still see it from him now, and it's an amazing experience, like for a first time parent. And this isn't my first time, but I understand it. Like, I still felt connected to him the first time I saw him as well, which is why I bonded with him a lot longer first. I was the first one, but yeah. Yeah, he spent time with him. He took care of him. I took care of him. He had all the normal tests, you know, they do for newborns. We were out of there within like probably a couple of days, a little bit less than that. Um, and everything seemed fine. I was fine. You know, my health was fine. Just the normal stuff that happens after. Speaking for the dad again, because he already told me how he felt about it. I asked what it was like being a first-time father for him, or how he liked the experience, and he said that he thought it was amazing, and he was surprised, he was impressed, and he's just like, he thinks about him all the time, he loves him, and he just wants to spend time with him as much as possible. I think that's really sweet, you know, and I totally understand that. And so we're at 2 weeks postpartum now, and much learning has taken place for first time dad, and me relearning things again, and there's new technology and things out, so that makes things easier. So yeah, I'd say at this point his dad is pretty confident in taking care of him, which is good because he's a fast learner. I'm not supposed to be allowed to exercise. I'm not supposed to be like lifting or anything like that. And I lift this little guy all the time. It's interesting they say that. Like, you're not supposed to be lifting anything, but you got like 7 to 8 pound baby, sometimes 6 depending on your pregnancy, or even more than that, honestly. Some people have bigger babies and you're lifting them constantly all the time. So like, no lifting, but you got a baby, you got to lift stuff. I can't do high intensity workouts. That's something I'm probably going to talk about on my health channel, which is Gothic Fitness. Last time I talked on Gothic Fitness was when I was pregnant. So if you want to watch my health journey or me get back into shape again, because definitely need to get back into shape again, you can go check out my channel, Gothic Fitness, and I will be active on that pretty soon, or like, at least that's my plan. They said no working out like high intensity. I think I could do low intensity when I feel ready for the most part, but they recommend 6 weeks, like no physical activity. And I'm not trying to TMI too much, but I'm just going to say that I already kind of broke that, and I'm not talking about traditional exercise. I'm not planning on having another pregnancy vlog anytime soon, so no worries there. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, I can't sit still. Like, I like to be active, you know. I don't know. It kind of feels lazy to me, but I'm always busy with him most of the time. His dad does spend time with him, but he works a lot. And I am going to try to start looking into postpartum workouts, which I will share on Gothic Fitness, because it is very boring not doing any workouts. It's getting warmer outside around this time, so walking and everything like that is a good thing. But if you watch my last vlog on Gothic Fitness like a few months ago, you know that I have that injury, so that does affect my workout schedule. But yeah, if you want to follow that journey, go ahead and check that out. I'm also planning on doing workout videos after I get past that 6-week postpartum period, but I'm only on like week 2, heading into week 3, so that is the most I could do right now. But as far as like his health, the baby's health, and my health postpartum, it's been pretty good. We've been keeping up with that. I almost forgot. He had his own newborn photo shoot done by me. I'm a photographer as well. If for those of you who don't know, I picked up photography for myself after having a really difficult time dealing with photographers over my early modeling. I don't want to say career, because it wasn't a career, it was more like a hobby. I'm actually decent at it. Most of the time I'm doing like landscape and like nature, stuff like that. But occasionally I'll do people, and you could check on my Instagram if you're interested in my photography, and I will link that down below as well, and you can check that out. But yeah, I'm going to post him on there, because I did a newborn photo shoot of him, and it was Gothic theme. He just looks so cute. Not like scary spooky, but like really cute baby bat spooky. He had like a full skeleton outfit and interesting backdrops. And I'm actually going to probably post it at the end of this video if you want to check it out. And if you want to just go straight to that, you can check it out in a link down below as well, because I have my photography page down there in the links as well, which is probably going to be under Linktree. So I almost forgot to mention this, but yeah, I mentioned his dad's reaction, and so far I did not mention the reactions of the rest of the family. From his dad's side, they think he's adorable. They're like, oh, he's so cute. Like, I think I mentioned this in the other video. If I didn't, I'm going to mention it now. Most of his family on his dad's side is in a different country. They are in Mexico, and they obviously couldn't go to the hospital living that far away. And delivery happens so quickly, so yeah. And from my side with my kids, they're just like, wow, he's so tiny. Well, like I said, my youngest, who's no longer the youngest, he was so excited to see him. And my eldest are just kind of like, we're kind of used to seeing babies now. So yeah, but not a negative reaction. Pretty fairly just like you know, everybody's adjusting pretty well. I actually thought they wouldn't adjust that well to him being here, but he doesn't. He's loud when he cries, but I guess the size of my house makes it a little bit easier for them to deal with, you know, the new baby because they can't really hear him that much. My cat is adorable. I'm going to share a picture. Absolutely adorable how my cats reacted. So my eldest cat Oni, he's 4. He's 4 years old, and he just kind of was like, "What is this? Why is this human so tiny?" He just looked so confused. Like, why is this human so tiny? Like Oni's big. Oni was bigger than him at that time, and he just sniffed him. He wouldn't go near him. He just was like he would hear him cry and sniff and just be like, okay, I think it's time for me to back up a little bit. But he gets a little bit closer to him now. He gets curious, but not curious enough to get really close. Like he just sniffs him and then he sniffs him and then goes and walks away somewhere else. But no aggression or anything like that. But he won't cuddle with him. So now my youngest cat, Lucifer, he loves this kid. He will try to lick his hair and groom him, which I don't really let him do because he's not really supposed to be doing that. And he cuddles next to him. Like, he likes being around him. When he's crying, whatever, he likes to just lay with him, you know, sniff him, trying to figure out what's going on. Why is he crying? You know, he's just a sweetheart to him. That's pretty much it. So I'm actually really glad about all the positive reactions to the baby so far. I think when I did my first vlog, I was concerned about the negativity, but I'm not saying it's not out there, but so far, everyone that's close and that matters in his life has reacted pretty positively. Alright, if you watched till the end, thank you for watching, Silkies, and if you have any questions, or anything you want me to cover, you can just talk about it in the comments. I don't think most of you have watched all of this so far, but if you have, thank you so much for watching the video from beginning to end. And then once again, thank you for watching, Silkies. Like and subscribe for more videos.